talking about 3 ways to accept that life has changed, that we're in a new place, and that it's time to embrace it. Step number 1 we're going to do is we're going to acknowledge what has changed. What is different if you've graduated college, if you've moved out, if you've moved in with someone. Change is all around you and you're constantly accepting it. When we went from 1st grade to 2nd grade, we had to do this, and we've had to do it all along. Now, depending on what the transition is and why you are transitioning, it may be easier or harder to do these 2 lists. What has changed and what is your new reality? What did you go through to get to this point? Reflect on it. Spend some time with the idea that the life that you had a year ago is no longer the life that you have now. And this comes with, as you can tell, I have a different background than the majority of these videos. I have moved to a new location and I have been in so many different places physically, mentally, and emotionally these past 6 months and this past year. I made a big move down south, and now I've moved around a bit as well. So there has been a lot of change, and I have a journal that I keep for every single month. There's a new one that I write, and I started this in January of 2024, which was a very good year to start it because so much changed that year, but I continued that with me into this year, and so much has changed this year. And even I have captured it in the moment, it is still difficult to look on it because so much of life is constantly changing. How I feel on a day-to-day is so different. How I feel across a month, a few months is so different. And spending some time reflecting on it, letting it sink in, letting it settle in is really important, because we could be just rushing to the next thing and not realize that this is the thing that we have been searching for, that this is what we've been working towards. And this is something I had to do earlier this week, was just sit there and be like, my life is the life that I was hoping for years, that I was working towards for years. And now it's been 5 years since I've graduated. I live in a completely different place. And now I get to say, how did I get here? What did I learn, and what does it mean to me? What does being in this position mean to me? What does being with the people that I'm around mean to me? What does this job mean? What is this location? What is this place? What does my family mean to me? I get to define it, and that is part of the reflection. So if you're in a brand new state of change, and if you've been on this journey with us, you have changed. You have developed new habits, you've let go of certain things, and now you can fully embrace it. So take some time, breathe a little bit, and just realize, hey, life is gonna be okay, and it's time to share that with yourself, to acknowledge that it has been quite the journey and that life is different. From day to day, we don't think that life changes so much, but if we take one step back and look at the bigger picture, we'll realize how much it has actually changed. So take some time to do that. Reflect, accept that things have changed, and hopefully for the better. And if you don't feel like it's changed for the better right now, how has this happened before? Think about different times that you've gone through where change in the moment felt like it wasn't for you, but it ended up being so. I really wanted to go to a college. I didn't get in, and then I ended up going to the one that I did. And all of those brought me to this moment. Every single decision from that point and from before then brought me here. So even if it's not your favorite place, realize that it's a place where you're continuing to grow. Reflect on it. What has happened? Give yourself some space to let it sink in. And the next thing that you're gonna need to do is to stop, look around, and be proud of all that you have accomplished. If you've been on this journey with us and you've taken notes, you've done the reflections, you've reviewed what you want from life, you've done the work, you've put in time into yourself, and that is the most valuable time that you can put in, because it's for you and it's by you, and that is what matters. Being proud of yourself is not something we often give ourselves space for, and we really need to if we're going to continue to grow. Because if you don't stop and evaluate what you've gone through, if you don't review, if you don't actually figure out why you did the things you did, you're not going to continue to grow. And if you don't stop, and often we don't give ourselves that moment and that space to be like, you did a good job. And if you feel like you didn't, maybe you learned something. Maybe it wasn't the greatest thing that's ever happened to you, but how can you change it to happening for you? How can you be proud that you overcame? Being let go from that job in the moment didn't feel like a great accomplishment. And that in and of itself wasn't. But what happened after was. I found my way back to myself, and I found the ground beneath my feet again. They tried to take it from me, and they couldn't, because it was my life. It was my accomplishments, everything I learned and everything I developed in myself about life, about work, was not something that anyone could take from me. And realize that that is the reward, is everything around you is replaceable. And as somebody who's lived on the road more or less the last 10 years in some capacity, I've learned that the bed, the shoes, the clothes, the food, the location, the car, none of it, not even the time zone matters, because you are you wherever you go. No matter where you go, there you are, and everything else is replaceable. You can get a new suitcase, you can get a new laptop, a new phone, you can get a new job, you can get new people that you hang out with, new events that you like, new music that you're interested in, new places to go. But wherever you are, you're gonna bring yourself there. So if you can remove yourself from this belief that everything else matters but you, and flip that and realize that actually none of this matters, only I do, you're gonna be one step closer to realizing that being proud of yourself has to be at the core of everything you do. You have to stop and reflect and be like, I did this, I got here. And the important stuff, the stuff that makes you you, is something that no one can take away. You are not your clothes, you are not your food, you are not the location that you live in, or the partner or family that you have. You are your own being. And as long as you're working on that and developing that, it cannot be something that can be taken from you or shaken, because you know who you are. You've spent the time developing that, and that is the exact way you're going to develop this new life and what we've been doing all along. At the end of the day, we cannot control anyone outside of ourselves, and we can't predict what's going to happen, but we can choose what we do next. We can choose how we react to other people and move forward with those decisions. At the end of the day, all of the things that happened for me, and it's not easy in the moment to see that. And if you were to tell me last year when I was let go that all of this would lead to this moment in time that I'm in right now, I would have had a hard time believing it, because my life is so much better. But I was the one who put one step in front of the other. I decided to get out of bed, to apply for more jobs, to look at where I could live next, to look at what life could offer me next. I do not know where life is going to lead me in a year from now, where I'll be, what I'll be doing. I do hope that it is with the understanding that I am guiding my life, that there is a bigger plan than the small decisions that other people are making. What other people think of me is none of my business, and the more you can reflect back and realize that what matters is your character and your decisions and the person you are, and no one can take that from you and no one can influence it unless you allow it, you'll quickly realize that everything else starts to fade away. What other people think or don't doesn't seem to matter. And when you can get to that point, you can start to see that you matter, and that what you do matters more than anything else somebody else does to you. So be proud of where you've been, how you got here, and that this isn't the last destination for you. This isn't the last place you'll be emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, all of the different ways. This is not the last step. This is not the last version, but celebrate this one, as it is only going to be here for so long. Now that we've looked at life and are proud of ourselves, look at the lessons that brought you here. Lessons that you want to take with you as you step forward. So for number 3, let's write down 3 lessons that we've learned from this past week, month, or year, or for all of them. You can do as many lessons as you'd like, and see how you have shifted based on these lessons. How do you incorporate these thoughts into your life? If one of the lessons is believe people when they show you who they are, not an original lesson, but an important one, how are you doing that? If you used to give people free rein in your life and give, even when you saw red flags, maybe now you see a red flag and you stop and you're like, I don't actually need to see more. I'm gonna choose to not continue down this road with you. You don't have to cut them off. You don't have to tell them off, but maybe you're reevaluating their position and access to you in your life, just like we've talked about in all of our previous videos. That could be a lesson that you brought with you. Maybe another lesson is that you have to go and work out a few times a week just so that you feel good in your body. How are you implementing that? How are you carving out time for yourself? This is an important lesson that you've learned. Maybe you learned that eating healthy more times than not during a week makes you feel the best and you want to keep doing that. Very important lesson. How can you start to see the changes you've made as lessons that you've carried with you and that you live out every single day? And another lesson could be that you aren't as attached to the location, the product that you can't control. Maybe you're not as obsessed with what kind of car you drive, what kind of designer stuff exists in your life. Maybe you're just not interested in that anymore because you've decided that the value isn't in there. And maybe you're partially on that route. But either way, this lesson is for you. And nobody else has to believe in that lesson other than you. And it might not get people as far down the road as it got you, but it's your lesson and you get to define that for yourself. So how can you look at the lessons that life has offered you and write them down? Keep them with you as you go forward. Accept that change has happened, that you are not the person that you once were. And I believe it was this week or the week before, 5 years ago, that I graduated college. I did not know what was standing before me when I did that, but I knew that what was in front of me was much better than what was behind me. So take that knowledge with you. I don't know what the next 5 years will look like, but I do hope that the version that I am then is proud of the work that I did now. Just as I am proud of all the work that brought me here, I know the work is not done and it will continue to go, but I'm going to take this moment to accept that it has changed, that I no longer look like I did when I entered college, that I no longer think the way that I did, that I feel more settled as a person, and that I feel more okay with not knowing, and excited that this time next year I could be in a completely different place, and hopefully I will be. But wherever I go, I will be there, and that is okay. That is more than okay. It's actually the goal of life. So wherever you are, I hope you're choosing to accept that this change has happened for you and that you get to define how it looks going forward. I hope to see you soon. Hope you have an amazing week.